All right, welcome to Shop Talks, everybody. It's a production of the Ink Kitchen. Check out our YouTube channel, inkkitchen.com. We got sponsors that make all this free. Los Angeles Apparel, AlphaBroder, Stalls, Transfer Express, LET Apparel, Howard, Lane 7, and Hirsch. Thanks to Impression Show that helped put this on. Got my buddy Stan Banks here from T-Shirt Side Hustle. And we're going to be talking today with Greg Boseman, and we're going to be talking about art.
Art department. Art.
Yeah, we are. You know, screen printing's great. Posters, oh yeah, just a plug for our poster here. We're live printing these here at the show. It's Lucy the Margate Elephant, which is up the beach. And we're giving the money to a woman's shelter here in Atlantic City that does really good work on no money. So if you want to buy one for $10, they're in the first row there. Anyhow, you know, any kind of screen printing you do starts with the art. So what do we got going here?
So I guess first the place to start is like when you get started in screen printing. I think we talked about it yesterday on when we were talking about making a screen. It all starts with the art and the screen process in order to get it started. So, you know, whether you're buying new equipment, used equipment, once you want to get into this industry, it's all going to start with art, rather. So Greg here is a true artist of a sense, where really passionate about the products and placements and kind of like pushing the envelope. So when it comes to starting with artwork, what is it that you don't see in the typical screen print market that you're kind of implementing with your placement and things?
Far as colors, hello. Far as colors, I don't see a lot of color. People adding a lot of color and coordinating a color scheme with it. You know, when you're selling something, you got to make sure, you know, because the different colors mean something to a certain person. Like red means something, yellow means something, pink means something. And the more colors that you have and it's coordinated, the more that you're going to get, you know, people to buy into the feelings of how they feel, you know, because colors represent expression. Color represent, you know what I'm saying, how you feel when you're mad. Just like when you paint, it's just beautiful, you know. Some people want black because how you feel, you know. You're on the dark side, you know. So it's just all about how you put it together. And that's why I don't see a lot of that. And that's why I be trying to coordinate my colors a lot.
So the person starting out, like, what do you recommend for them in terms of like using a program and how do they get their art made? What do you recommend to folks that are just getting started?
I recommend Illustrated, Photoshop, Canva, but I love Illustrator and Photoshop because I think that's the best right now. I know it's, you know, a lot of people, it's hard for a lot of people, but I think that's the best right now.
You seen the new Adobe artificial intelligence program that draws on their art? That's something that's going to be coming up, right?
That right there is a whole
game changer, right?
Yeah, whole game changer right there. The AI, man, it's just.
What's it called? Fire something, right? Man.
There's a bunch of them.
There's a bunch of them.
But Adobe has a new one.
Yeah, Adobe and Google have
when it comes, if you're not versed in art and you're just getting started when it comes to like what program to use, you know, obviously for screen printing, you want to be in like the industry standard. But Affinity is something that people have gotten into that is capable of doing the same stuff that you can do out of Photoshop and Illustrator into Affinity programs, which is a cheaper subscription than it is to get into the Creative Cloud. There's also some other free options like Photopea is a Photoshop alternative. But really, if you get down to the root of design and programs, they're all the same. You know, the elements may be in a different place, may look a little different. The menu may say some other terminology, but at the end of the day, the tools and functions that you're going to use are going to be the same. And me, I pretty much live by 7 of the tools. You don't need to learn everything. What I say is learn enough to do the task at hand. So, you know, if you are trying to create halftones, learn halftones at that given moment, because you get in a rabbit hole trying to figure out how to do what everything does and how to do it. And there's 5, 6, 7 ways to get the same thing accomplished that, you know, hey, I sit with people who are way better at art than I am. And as I start to do something, I wouldn't do it like that. I said, well, listen, this is how I know how to do it. And this is where I'm going to rock. And if you show me something that's a little bit faster, a little bit better, or a different way, then I'll dive and jump into it. So what do you think about it as far as how people should try to learn these programs?
Basically, take one step at a time. Just learn how to work it. Because, like I said, it's very frustrating. It was very frustrating to me. I still don't like Photoshop because it's hard, you know. It got different things to keep adding on and stuff. I love Illustrated. So I just say take it one day at a time, man. Just learn it, then perfect it before you're going to be able to turn your artwork into wearable art. 'Cause that's what you're basically trying to do. You want to turn your artwork into wearable art, especially if you're an artist, because that's the way you can promote yourself out there. You know, it's not just on a canvas, but on your shirt also.
So I see that, like, you have a vision for something and you're not tied to one medium. I see transfers, I see patches, I see like all kinds of stuff. So what do you recommend people get versed in to really make their art wearable in the end?
Of course, transfers, DTF, DTG, screen printing. That's the best way to me. If you got a lot of colors, I recommend DTF or DTG. But if you got the simple colors, like 1 or 2 colors, screen print is perfect. But if you like using all the screens, you know, 8 screens for your artwork, then you can, by all means, go for it. But me, I can't see myself doing over 2.
I think when you get into adding value, right? Like perceived value is a big deal. So, you know, Puff has been something that's been going crazy for a long time now, and you know, you start to see more now. You're seeing Puff transfers, which weren't always available, and different things like that. But when you get into adding patches and adding emblems, you're really there and doing it to add value, right? So a patch doesn't cost much more than if you were outsourcing screen print. You know, like if you get them from overseas or somewhere, you had like maybe $3 per 100. If you get them here in the U.S., it might be $6.50. But you're really trying to add anywhere from $25 to $50, depending on where you're selling that in the chain to that final product. So using mixed media, I think we were looking at something yesterday that had like regular screen print with some flock directly over top of it. Getting into mixed media with your art, figuring out how you can add dimension, add effects to the things that you're doing is going to add to your bottom line. So just simply switching from, you know, a regular ink or regular vinyl to a Puff, you can add $4 or $5 to it just for the same exact work that you would have done anyway. Exactly. So if you think about some of that stuff, offering that range, it doesn't really add anything to your workflow, but it actually adds to your bottom line, and you're able to sell what would become a premium service.
How'd you get those patches made? I like that on the sleeve.
Well, my sleeve. Oh, this is a tag. You know, tag that I just, instead of putting it in the back, I put it on the side.
Right.
I had it made overseas. I had it made overseas. A manufacturer made this for me. And
How'd
I
you get
just,
it sewn on?
Yeah, because me personally, I like being creative with my stuff. I don't stay inside the box. I do stuff a lot different from everybody else. Because, like he said, I want to add value to my products. I want people to be like, you know, hey, that's one of a kind. So I recommend if you doing shirts or doing anything, just make sure, man, don't do what everybody else is doing. Experiment. You know, just like I found out about Puff, you can layer Puff. A lot of people didn't know that. You know, when I did, I was in shock. You know, just try everything. You know, because a lot of things that I've been working with, it was by accident, and it came out perfect. You know,
how does art affect someone's brand, right? I think a lot of people are jumping into or printing for brands and different things like that. How can they use art to add or use art to stand out?
How can they use art to stand out?
Or what should they be including, or how do they think outside the box when it comes to art and placement?
It's really nothing, because no matter what, art is art. You can put this a line on the shirt. It's art, so you're not making a mistake. It's just all about how you representing it. That's a design, you know. It's all about the story behind the design. You know, your expression behind it. So you can put a cross on your shirt and explain it what it means, and that's what's going to sell it. That's art. There's no mistakes in art.
Going from
I like that. No mistakes. in art, right?
True, right? Going from idea to your like you come up with a vision. What is the process of getting it to a final product? Like, how do you know you want to use these colors and you want to place it here, you want to use this effect. I know how you jump up your ideas and how you bring them to life.
I first started with basically sketching it out. You know how I do. I experiment with spray cans, paint, everything. I would experiment with it first, then I would put it on on Illustrator or Photoshop, and then get it vectorized. All depends which way I'm gonna go. Get it vectorized, make it transparent, and then that's when I put on. Then I figure out what procedure I want to use, because every procedure or method you want to say is not for every design. Sometimes it can be screen print, sometimes it can be DTF, sometimes it can be vinyl. So you got to choose the one that's going to bring the value of your artwork out.
Do you, when you're got a customer or something that you want to create, at what point do you get the whole thing together and then decide what garment, or you start right away knowing what garment you want to put it on?
Oh, no, I have to. I tell a customer when they come to me, give me 2 days, because I have to really selection and stuff. What is going to go on, what is going to look right on, because they leave it. Sometimes a lot of customers leave it up to me because they know I have an eye for colors and stuff. So they give me that time, and I have to really analyze it, because some things may go on a white shirt, some things may go on a black shirt, some things may go on a blue. It all depends what they present and what colors that I can add to it.
So when you have a new customer, maybe you're going to do art for, what kind of questions do you ask them to start with? In terms of figuring out in the end what they want.
The main question is, what's the story behind it? Your artwork. That's the main thing. Once they tell me that, then I know what direction to go in. I need to know how you feel about the design, how you feel about your artwork. Why did you do it? Why you want to bring it to life now? It's all about the why. Once we talk that out, then I know how to proceed with it. Then we know what to do with it, because I want to make sure that it's going to tell your story. It's not just a brand sitting on a shirt. It's a story.
Almost starting with motivation more than anything else, really, right?
Yeah.
Right.
I think that's interesting. I think that's something that a lot of printers don't even walk through the process, right? We want to know what the garment is going to be used for, right? I used to do some stuff for nonprofits, and you think that they only want the cheapest shirt, but you don't know that you can literally talk them into spending $5 to $6 more on a garment simply by explaining to them and understanding what their intended purpose is for that shirt, for the art that they're trying to create. We want our stuff to be seen. If you got a nonprofit, you're probably doing it with a purpose, right? And that purpose is whatever it may be. It could be autism awareness or whatever the case is, but by simply having a conversation, say, do you want a shirt that's going to end up being a cleaner shirt on Saturday? Or do you want it to be seen? Do you want to give, I know you're going to spend the money regardless, but do you want to get the best visibility out of the garment? Because, typically, the gilding gets one wear, it gets washed, and next thing you know, it's a grab a shirt around the house. It could become a rag, but
I say the same thing, actually.
Yeah.
I always go, do you want someone to wear it every 2 weeks, or you want them to wash their hubcaps with it?
Right.
Which way you want to go?
And now it's like, hey, maybe they won't wear this nonprofit shirt out to the club or out for the night to town, but they'll wear it to the mall. They won't feel bad going in the drawer and grabbing it, because when they put it on, it feels good, right? And that added value in that conversation, whether it's art or garment selection, it's really the same, right? Yeah, okay, I don't want to spend too much on art. Okay, cool. Well, do you want it to look good? What is the intended use of this art? What does it really mean to you? Because if you're not going to invest into your art, which really matters if if it's going to sell or anything's going to happen after the fact, then you need to invest. Art is an investment at the end of the day. So investing into the artwork It's all in how you have that conversation to explain the value and what it is that you're providing. So, we get nervous when it comes to providing art for people, or how much we should charge for art, because it's perspective, right? It's how much do you value it? And the difference between somebody charging $25 and $35 for art and somebody who's charging $150, because I've been all across the range, 300 or even more, is people that charge thousands for art that we know we can look at it like, man, you paid thousands, but the process of bringing that to life, and the more you can converse with a customer, understand what their actual intended goal is, whether you understand it or not, simply having a conversation, them knowing you care, adds value to what it is that you create.
Yeah, Greg, I don't know why we're in an industry that does not value art on the whole. Like, they somehow think it's going to go free with the printing, like we make so much damn money with the printing. So do you find yourself having to sell yourself really probably more than you might in another field in terms of like people understanding what value they're going to get from your art? Or do you think you're at a point maybe where you've created enough stuff that people are coming to you that understand that already? Or what's that process been like?
Well, I think right now, it's me right now, because anybody that follow me know I bring a lot of energy, motivation, and stuff. So it's me right now. But now I'm telling people my story of where I came from. I'm telling people why I created art, which stands for acknowledge raw talent. It's not just art; it's knowledge raw talent. Means everybody has a talent. Everybody should acknowledge it. Whether it's art, whether it's T-shirts, whether it's driving cars, wherever it is. And right now, it's getting out there. People understanding it, people loving it. But right now, it's just me. They love my designs, they love the artwork, but it's mainly me behind it right now.
When it comes to doing art for other people, right? So somebody comes to you for a shirt, but they need art. They don't have the art. Can you explain it from that perspective? Like, is it tough to get the value out of that customer that's coming to you? Hey, I got this idea, but they can't put it on a shirt without it first becoming developed and going through the process. So is it tough to get value out of people coming to you to do their artwork?
Yeah, it's very hard, because some people don't know, they just come with an idea, a design. They don't have nothing behind it. A guy came to me with a smiley face. Yeah, I know smiley faces everywhere. And I was like, what does this mean? And he couldn't even tell me. So it was hard to really come up with anything.
You don't have that mind reading program?
Right.
I got to get that to you.
So it's like pulling a tooth, man. I tell a lot of people to go back to the drawing board, man, and figure it out. What made you came up with that idea? It had to be something, or you just a copycat, or you trying to copy somebody, But if it's something that's the idea, let's bring it to life. But you got to know what's your why behind the idea, behind that design. If you don't have that, then what's the use of creating it?
Any questions in the crowd?
Want to know about art, printing, life? We got it all up here.
Oh, most definitely, most definitely.
All right, so the question is, I mentioned that you might have a good, better, best shirt. What shirts do you recommend?
Without going into like brand specific advice, at the end of the day, there's styles of shirts. And this is where understanding where the shirt is going to be used is going to come into. So when I think good, better, and best, obviously there's price point involved in that, right? You got the lowest tier, which would be your Gildings, your Fruit of the Looms, your who we got up here. None of those guys in that category up there. But then you go up to your better, you get to your Bella Canvases, your Lane 7s, your LAT Apparels, and that's where you get to the softer shirt. And you're probably $4, $4 to $6, $4 to $5 range for the better. And then you got some of the ones that feel best, where I go into like the AS colors and the original favorites and different things like that. But ultimately, the stylish shirt, right? Because if I'm a streetwear brand, I don't want a Bella Canvas fitted shirt, right? So now what I got to understand is, what is my intended use for this shirt? I want a hoodie, right? what kind of hoodie is it that I want? Am I trying to retail this? What level am I trying to retail this garment at? I'm trying to sell hoodies for $80, $100. I don't necessarily want to sell a Gildan where people can feel that and it's not the quality that's going to last for a clothing brand. But if I'm selling to a football team and they about to run in it and pull all over it, and then I want to go with a Gildan, something that's more durable. It goes deeper than just good, better, or best. And this is why, I started one of my first videos like that good, better, best model and picking a shirt. But really now what I'm trying to tell people to do is go into where it's going to be used at and then try to make a decision based on there. So inside of streetwear style shirts, you got a good, better, and best. Inside of fashion fit shirts, you got a good, better, and best. Inside of hoodies, there's a good, better, and best. It goes a lot deeper than what that surface level brand is. And then you can find some gems when it comes to brand around here. I've seen two that aren't typically in the East Coast. They're from the West Coast, but they put a lot more into those garments and what is going on into them. So look a little bit deeper and go against the grain, I see that you have a sorority shirt on, and I used to sell some stuff to historically black colleges and sororities, but switching from a Gildan shirt to an Anvil shirt, it makes a hoodie or sweatshirt, it makes a difference just
Comfort
on the
Colors,
value.
actually,
Yeah,
right?
Comfort Colors is great,
I mean,
right?
who would have guessed it? But Comfort Colors really big in sororities. And
Yep, and I didn't even touch styles. Like I didn't even touch vintage. I didn't even touch, those washes. I didn't touch acid wash. So it's so much that you can do inside of a garment, but with simply selection that can add value, and you can ultimately make more money by providing a shirt that may cost you $1 or $2 more, but you can add double that at least when you go to sell it. So look a little bit deeper into that good, better, best model. There's no wrong or right answer.
it's a good question, though, and it's never been more difficult, I think, because you got a whole bunch of people that think that a thin ring spun shirt is very soft and nice, and you have a whole bunch of people that think it's a cheap-ass shirt. So, you really got to know who you're selling it to, I think, these days more than ever. I mean, I think the old school shirts are coming back, like a Fruit of the Loom and stuff like that. You wouldn't have expected it 2 years ago, but now that's going on.
Yep. So, any more?
All right, so the question is, she saw ink for puff and she saw puff transfers. Which is better?
Ink for puff? It's up to you. Like I said, vinyl been getting a bad name, and it's all because people, don't know how to use it, don't know how to use it right. That's why you run and be hanging off because people they're not following directions right. So I use puff vinyl, and I love it. But I started using screen print vinyl, screen print ink also. I can't tell the difference between it, but it's all about how you apply it. A lot of people don't apply it right, so sometimes it look like a marshmallow.
I'm gonna add. Go ahead.
Yeah, I would go with the transfer. We print hundreds of thousands of shirts, and we've been going for transfers lately. It's just foolproof, especially if you have a good transfer machine. Like if you want puff on a hat, you got one of those Stalls ones with the back heat and the silicone. Those are great for doing puff transfers, for example. But yeah. It's a little tricky. Printing puff is tricky.
Yeah, it all depends
and
on
the transfer's got a recipe.
Your customers have.
You know what I mean? The ink company could say that they don't know your dryer, they don't know how you're printing exactly, so they kind of give you these rough guidelines. A transfer is very specific. It's like this time, this temperature, this pressure, that's going to work.
I'm going to go along the lines of saying, what you have access to is going to be the decision maker, right? If you're a screen printer, you're going to use screen printing. If you have a heat press, you're going to use heat press. At the end of the day, as technically sound, as savvy as this industry is, at the end of the day, our customers don't care, right? They don't care. And,
They don't care how you get it on there.
And today, they may care a little bit more because the abundance of information and then the pandemic and everybody looking into it and kind of doing research beforehand. But at the end of the day, the common customer coming in who wants you to do the work, because if they did the research, they probably just would have did it themselves anyway. So if they're coming to you, they're gonna buy whatever you have access to. So sometimes we might even jump into the fact that like we can't provide this service to them because we don't naturally do it. But ultimately, you could talk them into getting something else. Oh, I see your artwork. That's not gonna work with like puff. You know, your detail is too small. By the time it puffs up, you're not gonna be able to read it, or this part's going to get lost in it. So, you know, at the end of the day, you know, what equipment we have is going to make that decision for us based on what it is that it is. Now, screen print ink should puff a little bit better than a transfer from my experience. The ones that I've tested, the transfer doesn't puff as much as a true screen print, but puff vinyl puffs just as much, if not more. So it's kind of like one of those things where, you know, you get the effect based on how you apply it pretty much. I don't have puff transfers at the moment, but I do have puff ink and puff vinyl.
All right, Puffy. Do you have a pricing matrix for the more unusual stuff? Is that, yeah, special effects and stuff, you mean?
Yeah.
All right, so what's a pricing matrix like for different garments?
So I typically don't print Under Armour. So if somebody comes to me asking for Under Armour, you know, you want to qualify if they're even going to be willing to pay the Under Armour price, right? And so now you're talking about before you even touch a garment, it's going to cost you $26, $30. You know, a basic T-shirt is going to cost you $26 to make, whether you can buy wholesale. And that's also a hidden gem. So I would first push people into brands like Sports Tech, which will give you kind of that alternative, but then you got to consider added value based on that garment selection. So Sports Tech is my favorite sports brand per se. And then when it comes to printing on high, you know, super high-end garments like Nike, Under Armour, and all of that stuff, I don't have a lot of experience. But on the other side, I've been into a lot of shops who do, and they don't even like it. And the reason why they gravitate towards transfers more than printing on it is because running that through the dryer, all of the stuff that runs into it, by the time you lost one, you done lost your profit on a bunch of garments. So now you got to import an error rate or whatever the case is. So typically in that space, you'll pick a markup. But the beauty about, I know Samar over there sells Nike golf and different things like that. If you send them to their website, they'll have a retail price on it. So if they'll have it listed at $52 for this polo or whatever the case is. So now you know you're going to buy it for half of that. So it's like, yo, I'll give you that garment, decorate it for that price. You don't even have to really try to go and sell it to them because, or like think about the margins of markups. You know the print, the ink is going to cost you, let's say all into it $1, labor, ink, cost you all into it $1. And you can say, you know what, you see the list price on there. They selected it based on that list price. That means they're okay with it. So, oh, you selected this $52 garment. You know what? For you, I'm just going to give it to you for that decorated. And now you don't even have to do any thinking when it comes to it at all. So they can't directly get an account with some of those places. And they also have portals where you can like rebrand your own website when it comes to how they look at garments and stuff like that. So if you start there, you won't even have to do any of the work. They've already done that work for you.
Yeah, AlphaBroder and SNS have similar stuff.
Yeah, my bad.
Or sending people to Los Angeles Apparel is a good place because the retail prices are really high. So if you're going to use those, I think that's a really good idea. People know what they're getting into. Other questions?
Going once.
Everybody knows everything. That's awesome.
All right.
Any final words there, Greg? Little pearls of advice here.
Say that again.
Pearls of wisdom. You got any pearls of wisdom?
Oh yeah, let me say this, because I hear everybody talking about the T-shirts and stuff. I'm gonna say this because you look at every brand that's out there now, high quality brand. It's not about the T-shirt. The T-shirt ain't the value in it. It's your story and what's on it. You can get a Gildan shirt, rip out the tag, and have a nice design and nice story behind it, and you would sell it like a Supreme shirt. Because that's what basically Supreme be using, Gildan shirts.
Oh, I'll tell you, Supreme is a Hanes shirt.
Yo, Hanes shirt.
Actually,
So
really
it's all
done
about the value
Supreme.
you put into that shirt. Your story is going to run the price up. If you don't have no story behind it, you don't have no value. It's not about the design. It's always going to come refer back. People buy the story to your brand, not the T-shirt, the story.
And that's the same thing with your businesses. If you don't have a brand and you have a screen print shop, like, you know, the customers are going to resonate to your business based on who you are, what you value, what you put out into the world at the end of the day. So, you know, sustainability is a big thing now in the industry. So people are specifically looking for shops that specialize in sustainability. And you know what they're investing into when they invest in sustainability? Paying more money at the end of the day, right? But it's a conscious effort. So, you know, your story of your shop, your business, whatever it is that you do is going to bring you customers that you can relate to. So definitely invest and put your story out there if you haven't started to do that already. People who relate to what you're doing and how you maneuver are going to gravitate towards you.
All right. So you guys can hang around for a few minutes. So if you anybody was too shy to ask a public question, Stan and Greg will be around. I'll be around. So how about a hand for Greg Boseman and Stan Banks? All right. I want to thank the sponsors: Los Angeles Apparel, AlphaBroder, Stalls, Transfer Express, LAT Apparel, Howard, Lane 7, and Hearst. They make these things possible. Check out the YouTube channel. You'll see Stan and I all over it, and kitchen.com. Greg's got a YouTube channel, Art Department. And thanks for coming.